Now, as I'm clicking through, you'll see there's something not quite right here. There's this little shake effect that's happening. And that is very annoying as a user. So we're going to go back to InDesign and see if we can fix it. Another thing that is happening as I go through is, you see there's like a little hide and seek going on here where I can kind of see a little bit of that arrow that I designed to tell my user that there's content that's going to scroll. So back in InDesign, we're going to try to address both of these. All right, let me close my folio builder. Let's work with the arrow first. What is really happening is this content is hiding it as it becomes, once it becomes interactive. So what I want to do is I want to work with the container, with that blank frame that's creating the window that this scroll is being seen through. So I'm going to click on it with my selection tool to select it. And what I want to do is I'm just going to make it a little bit narrower so I can see the entire arrow. So if I zoom in, I just want to make sure that the edge of the frame, let me just go to my preview mode, and I'll just hide my layers. The edge of the frame is not overlapping this element at all. Okay, because what's happening is these frames that the graphics, the images are in, have a background of white. So as they go over the arrow, it's almost like a hide and seek. They're hiding it, and then you can sort of see through them where there's a gap. So that's one thing. The other thing is, even if there was no color in the graphics frame, if they were transparent, the arrow would flash as the image was over it or not. So just by not overlapping the arrow with the container of the scrolling content, that should resolve the arrow problem. Okay, so let me go back to normal mode so you can see my frame edges. And that's also how we're going to fix the shake. So here's the thing with scrolling content. When I have scrolling content, DPS uses the top left as the point of reference. So no matter where I put the top left of this frame, even if here on the page I see the image in this location, once I update the folio and preview it, this image is going to move up here. Let's just take a look at it. Now that my article is updated, I'm going to click Preview. And here we go. The image, if I go back to InDesign, the image did not move, but in fact, in the preview, the top left corner has jumped to where the container is. So let's go back to InDesign. I'm going to undo that. Simply Command Z. Okay. So what is happening? And if you look a little bit closer, I'm going to select all, right? And I'm going to zoom in. What's happening is the edge of the container, which is here, that simple graphics frame, is higher than the content. Really what's happening is it's giving me, because this is scrolling content, it's allowing me to scroll both up and left or right because it thinks that there's more down there to scroll. So the simplest fix for this is to simply take the frame that makes the container and bring it down a bit. Now I don't want to bring it up or left because that's going to shift the position of the scroll when my user sees it when they swipe the page. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, add a little bit to the height. That should do it. So again, I'm going to update my article. So now that I've updated, let's go back to preview it. Okay, so it's back in the correct position. Here's my arrow. Let's see what happens when we scroll. All right, so the arrow stays. So the left-right scroll is fine. And when I try to move it up and down, it doesn't move. So it was really as simple as just giving it a little bit of extra room so DPS could contain all of the scroll up and down. But again, not moving the top left corner because that's going to change the orientation of the image. So really when you're troubleshooting, there is going to be a bunch of back and forth. So update, try something, update it, check it out in the content viewer, go back, see if it worked. If not, keep trying something else. This is a very new world, so it's a lot of trial and error. Also, Adobe updates the tools pretty frequently. So that may actually be something that's going to affect how things work. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to InDesign because I just want to, before we go on, show you one thing. Now, I have actually been previewing just articles, but of course I can preview the whole folio. I think everything's up to date. I'm going to click on the folio. Here, when I'm previewing folios, this is how it kind of works. I have to click and wait just 1 second, and then I'll get this pop-up, Preview on Desktop, which I'm going to click on. And now this time, instead of just a single article, I can preview all of the articles in my folio. So I can preview either an article or the entire folio. And if you remember, we added some articles before. Here's the cover. This is just a 2-page article with no interactivity, just 1, 2. Then we moved on to scrolling pages. So here's my page. My whole page will scroll down. And here's the 2-page article that I just did that has scrolling content. So not a scrolling page, a static page with content inside of it that scrolls. So we're really starting to get somewhere. You could probably do a lot with what I've just shown you. We're going to continue and show and explore a couple other types of interactivity. But I think we're well on our way to getting up and running.